Today is a different day. Sad and exciting, but it's the day we say goodbye to our Honda TRX 500. And I'd never thought I'd actually ever say this on the channel, because a lot of people know how much I like this quad, but we do have a few reasons why we actually do need to part with this quad. This quad's not for sale, by the way. This quad is already actually sold. A friend of mine who I know a long time has the name on this quad to buy it. As soon as I'd ever think of selling it, he wanted to buy it, and I let him know that I was thinking of selling it, and he had it bought just like that. So you're going to ask, obviously, why are we selling our quad? Well, I'm going to explain it to you as simple as I can. This quad we've had 12 years. It's a 2008, so we have it since it was nearly new. We put 3,400 great hours on it. There's 29,000 kilometers on that machine at the minute. So a nice little bit of kilometers, not massive for the age of the quad, and certainly not on these Honda 500s. We have been looking for a little while now, over the past couple of months, and one of the biggest things of why I'm selling it is the actual steering. My dad turns 90 next year, and one of the big roles and why I actually bought this quad in the first place was that my dad could go out and drive around the fields, look cattle for me and feed cattle for me and things like that, and it just gave him a new lease of life. He hasn't drove a car in well over 10 years now because he lost sight in one of his eyes with glaucoma, and the quad just gave him that lease of life, which was absolutely great to see. But one of the things with my father was he hadn't been driving it in quite a while. In fact, he had stopped coming over here or any of the fields this last while, and I knew the reason why. He had mentioned to me a few times. The last time he actually got off the quad, he said to me, I think that's my days done on riding this quad, because it's too hard for me to turn now. The handlebars, I'm just finding it way too hard to turn on my arms, which was disappointing, because people at that age, if you take that little routine away from them, it's never a good thing, and I didn't want that to happen. So that led me thinking to quads that have power steering. I've never had a quad with power steering or ever experienced power steering, but I have been told by a lot of you guys even that it is the bee's knees, especially for someone like my father who mightn't have the full power in his arms now. Just leave the thing that he can at least come back over and do the jobs he used to do, and that's what was really most important to me. This quad for me would run for years otherwise, but look at that, is the number one reason why we're making the change. So that's it. I'm heading home now. Our new quad will be here in about 2 or 3 days time. We'll pick this video up when it comes. Oh, it's just gone 4 o'clock now, and our delivery is here behind us, and we'll talk more about it in a second. But we have Peter here from Friel's ATV. Peter's going to introduce himself and tell you a bit about what they have and where they're from.
Yeah, hello, Peter Friel from Friel ATVs in Donegal. Adrian was interested in the new Yamaha. That's the new 700 Kodiak. We put a set of oversized bare flat tyres and set of over fenders on it. We fitted this one with upgraded heavy duty hitch as well. And I noticed anyway, this was something that the guys mentioned to me on the phone. We were going to put a different set of tyres on, a wider set of tyres on it, which I do appreciate. Yes. That would normally come with what size? At 10-inch wide. 10-inch. But they're the XL bare flat tyres, so they're a square tyre compared to a dome tyre. And see that. And more grip. Like the counteract for that, you really need over fenders to keep them clean. Yeah, you fitted them extra as well, so
on this morning.
That standard machine wouldn't come with the over fenders normally on it.
Or it wouldn't come with the wide wheels, but anything can be done.
It's a wee bit late in the evening now. We'll get trying it out tomorrow, but it's different compared to the Honda. I suppose, look, you're doing away with the electronic shift. Yep. It's gone. Yeah. So you just have to get used to the way the Yamaha's is done with your gear stick.
Even for herding cattle and that, you have the agility. If you need to get ahead, you're not changing up the gear, set the throttle and you're going. Yeah. There's great engine holdback in them as well.
Aye, so braking with the engine.
Yeah, there'll be a fair bit of downhill braking in them too. A heavier machine with better traction because you have extra power to make up for it.
Yeah.
I suppose the other difference to the Honda, you have your 2 and 4 wheel drive and the diff lock. Just you lock the 4 wheels.
There's a winch on this one. It's not something I asked for, but it comes. Does it come standard?
Standard on them, yeah. The good quality wiring ones, like they are good. And they definitely are useful, like.
I like the green. Yeah. You had a blue and silver one. I think you've a sold now. I've seen.
And with a copper coloured one as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, that's the most sellable there. Like the black against the green. Yeah. Looks very nice.
It's a big change from what we're used to, the red. Yeah. You'll see the red a mile away, but
it'll take a bit of getting used to that, like.
Yeah.
But I'd honestly believe once you're on it a week, you wouldn't go back.
What do you call the gearbox in this compared to what I have?
Ultramatic.
Okay.
You have your automatic or your hydrostatic with your oil driven. That's an ultramatic. It's just it's like a fan belt. Yeah. Or like a timing belt.
Yeah.
And you just work from the throttle then.
Well, that hasn't changed then from the older Yamahas.
No,
used to have. I've seen that belt system.
2001's the same. Even on the 450s, I've still went out with the same idea. They haven't changed it at all. get back to just finishing off about the quad in a wee while, but having a job that needs to be done and done today. We have a problem with one of our cows with her eye, and I've seen quite a few eye problems this year. I think it's down to the type of grass that we've had. That's demi-old grass we had in the summertime, and now it's in on the silage, and there's a lot of little seed heads because a lot of the first cut did go to head, and that's irritating the cow's eyes. And we have one cow here that needs a little bit of attention. So we're going to put this batch over here, 12 dry cows. These are cows, the first batch of cows that are really dry. And they're only cows that are dry at the minute. We will be drying off another dozen at least now in the next few days. And then we'll keep on drying towards Christmas time. And then we'll be starting calving in January. So as we dry them, we dose them. But I wait until there's about 10 cows dry. Then I run them up in the chute all in one day, clip them and dose them all at the one time. But the cow we need to look at is in that bunch. So we look at her while we're doing that. So these cows will all be calving in the next 6-7 weeks, and every one of these are all early calvers, so I have to take it nice and easy. I keep back for them for a wee while until they go out, so that they don't push each other and bully each other out to the door. Just let them go out of their ears, because you definitely don't want them falling. Yeah, they're excited about getting out. You certainly can't blame that, but unfortunately it's not springtime yet. Now, if you're not from the farm background, you might notice, why on earth is this man shaving his cows? Animals put on what you call a winter coat. Most animals will all produce a winter coat and then shed it off in the springtime when the weather gets warmer. But because these cows are housed inside, because the weather does not allow them to be outside, ground conditions is just too wet, we need to shave off some of that hair, especially along the top of their spine. You're about to see me doing now. I do the heads as well. Some people don't do that. I also go down the back, do their tails, do the backs of their elders and their legs. And that purely is to allow the animal to cool down way quicker. It allows them to get rid of that heat and overall keeps them much healthier. It's definitely a job worth doing. It's a very dirty job, time-consuming job for us to have to do, but it's worth doing for the welfare of the animals. I've noticed when we clip our cows, about 2 to 3 weeks, they can look rough for about a week or two because they have a mixture of long hair and short hair, a bit like an upside down mohawk. But after that 3 weeks, you'll start to see the rest of the hair fall off. Shine will start to come onto the cows. They'll put on better condition as well. They'll just be so much more comfortable. You can see it in every single way. So that's why we clip our cows, and what you're about to see now. A friend of mine asked me on the last video, what's the red markings on top of the cows, Fraser? Red markings is very simple. That's when I'm in the milking parlour drying cows off, I mark them first so I know which cows I'm going to be drying off. And then I also add this yellow tape on their tails. It's just purely for identification. These cows are dry, so there's no risk of them getting mixed with the rest of the milkers, getting into the milk tank, which would have penicillin in it, and some of them. Most cows we use just a sealer, but on certain cows we would use an antibiotic, purely if they have any trouble with mastitis, maybe during the year, or have been more prone towards mastitis. So that comes in a dry cow tube form. It goes into the cow's quarters, all 4 quarters, and it just sits there, protects them until they calve. And by the time they calve, after a few milkings, dissipates out of the system altogether, and you're left with a healthy cow that will hopefully have no mastitis through her dried off period or the year after. Fingers crossed. So we're slipping through them nicely here, but we've just got 817 in here. And 817 will be our first cow calve, and she's going to calve early in January. And you can see the belly on the crush. Yeah, she has a nice big belly on her. She's got great conditioner as well, which I like to see. Just by looking down the back. This is a great time just to see what cows are like condition wise and see do you need to do anything. But that cow there is good. Hopefully a heifer. We're on the last cow, and this is the cow we kept purposely to last, because this is the one that has the problem with her eye. Yeah, look at it there. You can see it's just an ulcer, and that's just pus you're looking at there now. Well, I have been treating this cow for the past 2 days, and it is well improved. A lot of them will heal themselves over time, but some of them don't. Some of them leave the animal going blind. But we're going to treat it now, and then hopefully probably another 2 days of treatment of doing what I'm about to show you, and she should be better. Farmers are probably well used to these pink eye in calves especially. That there, to me, that's not pink eye. That's more of maybe a bang or just, I don't know, some sort of irritation, but an infection got in, and that's just pus you can see there behind the eye. And as you can see, she hasn't got much sight in it at the moment. Pretty much none at all, but that will come back. And we'll just rub it in nice and easy. She actually likes that. You can see the relief. Because it would have a nice soothing effect, I presume. Just clean it off from there. That's all she needs. She'll get that for the next 2 or 3 days, every day, once a day, and she should be okay. So that's that batch all sorted and done. So it's just gone 12 o'clock, so I'm going over to the other farm now to do the heifers. I'm not going to bother filming that because it's exactly the same thing. But you guys probably want to see the rest of the video of the quad, so we'll get back to that now. Alright, so we're now over on the other farm, and we got all the heifers clipped as well. They'll all be coming home now in a bit of week's time. I left them over here a lot longer in the end. They're doing well over here, and they like being here. They're nice and comfortable, so we're not bothered bringing them home until we kind of have to, until our calves is more or less getting ready to go in. It's lovely to get them jobs done. I'm moving my calves now in this evening as well, so it's a busy whole day today, but it's nice to get them jobs knocked out of the way. We're actually well on top of our jobs now. Just buried the head down this last while. I didn't film much of the clipping or any of that kind of crack. I just wanted to get the head down and get it done because we have a lot of projects now we're trying to get finished up. But before we talk about any other projects, this was our main girl today. I'm only going to go through it really quick now at the end because you've seen it coming off the trailer, but it was quite dark when Peter was dropping it off, so you guys probably didn't get a good look at it. One thing I did do, since you've seen it coming off the trailer, was I added these guys. Now, my wife bought me them for my birthday, and I have them quite a while sitting in the shed. I just never put them onto the Honda, but as soon as this yoke landed, I said, right, you're going on it. These are very, very handy. They're not very expensive. You buy them on Amazon. They're a ratchet clamp. This bolts onto your front rack. You put your shovel or whatever you want to carry into that there straight across. Pull this clip out. You can rotate them different directions, or you can just lift them off and leave them mount where it is if you're not using them. So these guys here are just your guards for your hand, but they've got the mirrors built into them. I seen them in a video I watched on YouTube, and I give my wife a subtle hint that were very handy, and she spotted it. A guy was snow ploughing, and I seen this on, and I said, Jesus, aren't they handy? The mirror doesn't have to stick up. You're not going to hit it with your hand, or sometimes when you're jumping on and off, you can hit the mirrors and then you're all the time fixing at them, but these are great to block the draft on your hand, and the mirrors built into them. I see they even embroidered their name onto the seat. That's definitely for YouTube advertising, that one, but you have to hand it to them. They did it. I wouldn't say they do that in every quad, but look, it's there and it's not going to rub off, I suppose, so it's a good enough idea. So that's their plug given there now. Look, go over and check Friel's ATV. They have lots of bits and pieces for new and old. They have a whole online store there as well. Loads and loads and loads of quads, new and second hand, so it's no harm to go over and sure, look at, you can price them and see how you get on. Petrol tank is different in this one. It's not up here any longer. Here you have a storage box. Now your fuel tank is in here. There's it there. So just a different design, same purpose. The suspension on this machine is just chalk and cheese to the Honda. I'm not saying it's better, or I'm not saying it's worse. It's just different. And the Hondas would have had a straight axle going across, which would lead them a lot more stable, I suppose, on the road. These do kind of drift from side to side, so you have to be careful. But comfort-wise, out on its own. Now, another thing we have to get used to is the gearbox in this. It's similar, but different. That's the best way of putting it. You don't have your electric shift anymore, it's gone. So you have park, which is in at the minute, which is your handbrake. No more of this anymore, which miss for now. We'll see how that goes on. Then you have your reverse, neutral, high and low range. This is called a CVT transmission, so different than the actual mechanical transmission that a Honda would have. This is belt driven. So you've got a belt in here, just like a fan belt. You have a large rotor here and one here, and it's your belt that drives your transmission. So you make your selection, you give it the throttle, and away it goes. Another thing that Peter told me about was this switch here. It's an override switch. It's just an override to cut out the limiter on the rev. So if you're going in reverse especially, you can hit that and you go backwards a lot faster. I can't imagine why, but then you never know. If Vin Diesel was coming by you in a Dodge Charger and you needed a bit of NOS, you hit that button. Now, you might ask, how come you didn't buy a Honda, Adrian? You're a Honda lover, you've always had Hondas. I would have assumed you would have went for a Honda. Well, that's not technically true. I haven't always had Hondas. I've had more Yamahas than I've had Hondas. I've had a Blaster, a Warrior, a Raptor, a Banshee, and I think that could be them all. That's all running since I was 13, 14 years old, I think, when I bought my first Blaster. Saved up every penny, got it really cheap, it was in bits, and started fixing at it because I have a love for that kind of thing. That's kind of my hobby. I used to buy old quads like that, fix them up, do little bits of work on them and paint them up and make them look fairly decent, and then sell them on and buy another one. And I would never actually make any money out of it. No, would I ride it very often. It was just purely the love of fixing at them, and that's just something I liked them. As my mother always said, it kept me out of trouble. But one of the main reasons, apart from all of that, was price. And there just seemed to be a lot more for your money on the Yamaha, for me personally. Some people will go with the Honda, some people will go with something else. But for me, what I wanted, it just seemed to tick all the boxes. So how did the deal work on this, you might ask? I sold my old quad. I sold it to a guy who actually does a lot of work for me over the years, and I know him a long time now, and he put his name on it about 6 months ago. So I got a good price for my Honda. It was in good condition, it was well looked after, and hopefully it will serve him for years to come. And the second part then came from an item I sold about 7-8 weeks ago to a guy in Dundalk who simply snaps nearly every day of it now. Something I bought in my mid-20s. Was an absolute pleasure to own, and I almost sold it a few times and just couldn't part with it in the end, but it's gone now because of this. I can't tell you what the item is, mainly because the guy who bought it doesn't want me to, and it has nothing to do with farming, nothing to do with our YouTube channel or anything. You would have never seen it. We have to kind of respect that wish of the guy that owns it now. But that covered the price of the quad. It left us with a little bit of money back in the bank as well, which was a plus. But now we have a machine that hopefully we get a lot of use out of. 12 years was a long time to have the other quad and have trouble-free use out of it. Hopefully this one will be as good, fingers crossed. I've had it now a few days and I've never had it over here yet. I've never got a chance to even ride the thing because we're just busy with cattle and things. But my father has been out on it every day, and this was kind of a Christmas present that could get him out and about, because I like to see him out and about. He'll probably cost me a fortune on petrol, but it's nice to see him out in it. So that's our new quad anyway. I'm just going over here to actually lift a fence because I'm going to be moving calves now shortly. But just before I end today's video, if I don't mention this, my wife will tear me asunder. Meant to mention it last Sunday, but our merchandise, because Christmas is coming up, it's hard to believe Christmas is only around the corner and it's mild. I don't even actually need to be wearing a hoodie. It's very warm, so it is, but anyway, it is. So Monday, that's the day after you're watching this one, Monday the 5th of December is the last day where we can guarantee you'll have your merch for Christmas. We can't make any guarantees after that, unfortunately. We'll do our best, but just can't be guaranteed. So try get it in before Monday. And any of you guys that have ordered, thank you so much. Always blown away by the numbers, the support. This year especially has been incredible, so it means a lot to me and my family, so thank you very much for that. Anyway guys, I'm going to move a fence here and then I have to pull out the TEF20. We're back on it. This week, now that we have a lot of our jobs covered, before calving starts, we're going to get a good bit of work done on our cottage, so there's lots happening. Anyway folks, thanks very much for watching. Until the next one, talk to you again.